Ladies and gentlemen, in the ongoing conflict between the Ethiopian National Defense Forces, ENDF, and Amhara Fano forces in the Amhara region, there have been significant developments that I want to update you on in this video. In my previous video, I shared that Fano forces had gained control over Lalibela town. However, the latest reports we've received indicate a shift in the situation. Ethiopian forces have reportedly regained control of Lalibela, as reported by residents on the ground. The recent clashes began on Wednesday, with Fano forces initially taking control of much of Lalibela, as shared by residents in the area. However, on the following day, Thursday, residents reported that Fano fighters had withdrawn during the night, and now the Ethiopian Army, ENDF, is in control of the city. According to a resident's account, until early morning, Fano controlled most of the town. When we woke up, Fano were finishing leaving the town. Another resident confirmed the change in control, stating, "I can see ENDF deployed in the streets." This fluid situation highlights the dynamic nature of the conflict in the region, with control over key towns shifting between the opposing forces. The residents' eyewitness reports provide valuable insights into the evolving developments on the ground. In the last 5 years, from 2018 to 2023, Eritrea and Ethiopia's relationship has changed a lot. First, they didn't get along, then they started working together, and now it looks like they might be headed for war. Their relationship is tied to the politics and power struggles in the region. Ethiopia really wants access to the Red Sea, which it lost in 1991 when Eritrea became independent. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed blames the Tigray People's Liberation Front, TPLF, for recognizing Eritrea's independence. Abiy also blames Eritrea for messing up a peace agreement signed between the TPLF and the federal government, ending Ethiopia's civil war. On October 13th, Abiy talked about the Red Sea's importance in a speech to the parliament, and he even mentioned wanting to build a naval base. This worried nearby countries and even the United States, which asked both countries to avoid trouble and respect each other's independence. Between 1952 and 1991, Ethiopia could directly access the Red Sea, but after Eritrea became independent, things changed. There was a war in 1998 over the borders, and it lasted until 2000. Even though there was an agreement, Ethiopia didn't really follow it until Abiy came to power in 2018. When Abiy visited Eritrea in 2018, both countries said they were done with the state of war. They agreed to be friends again, open embassies, and let people travel freely between the two countries. This made everyone hopeful. Abiy even won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2019 for resolving the border issue with Eritrea. But this happiness didn't last. The border closed again, and there were many problems. In 2020, there was a big war in Tigray, causing a major humanitarian crisis. Eritrea is now getting ready for a possible war because Ethiopia is bringing in a lot of troops near the Eritrean border. This worries Eritrea, and there's a chance they might attack Ethiopia first. Abiy and Eritrea's leader, Isaias Afwerki, both have qualities that could lead to disaster. Abiy talks about peace, but is also ready for war. He believes he is guided by a higher power in his quest for Ethiopia's greatness, with the Red Sea and Eritrea being crucial. Isaias Afwerki is a tough leader who likes using others to fight his battles. He might help Amhara militias and the Oromo Liberation Army to weaken Abiy. If there's a war, Ethiopia might focus on the Assab front, where it's easy to use air raids and drone strikes. Eritrea could struggle to send reinforcements to this area, maybe even shifting troops from Tigray. Eritrea currently has about 40,000 soldiers in Tigray. Both countries aren't really ready for a big war because they suffered a lot in the Tigray conflict, possibly losing around 600,000 lives. Over 1 million people are still displaced from that war, and fixing everything in Ethiopia after the war might cost $20 billion. The Ethiopian military is stretched thin, dealing with many problems, especially in the Amhara and Oromia regions. There's been a conflict in Oromia for 5 years, but it hasn't got much attention. In Amhara, there's been violence and displacement since Abiy came to power. Things got worse in April this year when the federal government tried to disarm Amhara special forces and militias that helped during the Tigray War. The government used heavy weapons, drones, and aerial attacks, leading to many casualties. The Amhara people see the Oromo as their main rivals for power, even though the current government is Oromo-dominated. Since 1995, when the constitution changed things, the Amhara have felt left out and struggled with losing their historical power in Ethiopia. Eritrea is facing isolation, with many countries wanting its leader, Isaias, gone. But Eritreans won't give up their independence, and those against the regime might even support the government to defend their country. Even during the Tigray conflict, there were tensions between Ethiopia and Eritrea. In June 2021, when Abiy had to pull his troops out of Tigray, Eritrea wasn't told in advance, causing problems. Ethiopian leaders were upset with Eritrean forces, and there were issues at checkpoints where Ethiopian troops needed permission from Eritrean commanders. Eritrea didn't like how Abiy responded to Western pressure about war crimes, and they got sanctions. Ethiopian entities didn't face the same sanctions. The gap between the two countries widened after the peace agreement in 2022, where Eritrea and Amhara leaders weren't part of the talks. The situation in Amhara is essential in this conflict. Both Eritrea and Amhara militias felt betrayed when Abiy signed the Pretoria peace agreement. They both fought against the TPLF and were unhappy it wasn't finished off for good. Amhara militias control Western Tigray, giving them direct access to Eritrea. Eritrea might use Amhara resources to cause trouble in Ethiopia, while Ethiopia must block its border with Eritrea to stop support to Amhara militias. The Amhara militias want to keep the territories they took during the Tigray conflict. The TPLF, with about 200,000 armed forces still not disarmed, might try to get back the areas they believe are theirs. The two countries are on a dangerous path, and the situation is changing quickly. Careful diplomacy by the African Union and the world is crucial to avoid a disastrous outcome. The Horn of Africa really doesn't need another war right now.